Hello, happiness abounder, and welcome back. Today I want to talk about something that's probably going to make you just a little uncomfortable, and that is our addiction to distraction. Yep, you heard me correctly. Are you addicted to distraction? And here's where I'm going with that. So much like our last episode about the 3 C's and kind of moving into this consumption phase versus, or staying, I should say, in a consumption phase versus moving into creative and contribution phases, I'm seeing a lot of us, myself included, being addicted to distraction. And I kind of read this 2 ways. There's addiction to creation, and there's addiction to distraction. And so that consumption phase can also be done to distract ourselves. But I'm not going to go super deep back onto the 3C cycle. You can totally go and listen to that episode, number 516. But today, I just want you to think about, are you addicted to distraction? And here's a couple of indicators to maybe ask yourself. 1, what does an addiction to distraction look like? Well, it can look like excessive use of TV, right? Is there a lot of binge watching happening? It can be overeating, a lot of food, stuff that maybe you wouldn't eat if you were full, but instead you're wanting to be distracted. And so you're full, but you want to be distracted, so you go to the fridge. I don't know how many times in my life, even now, I have walked over to the fridge, opened it up, and looked inside. Not because I was hungry, but because I was bored and addicted to the distraction that food can sometimes provide. It can also look like an addiction to social media. That ever scrolling and scroll and scroll. It's almost like a workout for your wrist. And scroll and scroll and scroll. But that can be an addiction to distraction. And I'm going to lean in on this one and say, like, TikTok is one of mine. I have one of those settings, the health well-being settings, where you can set it for an hour, and after you've been on the platform for an hour, it will notify you and you have to put in a password. But I find that when I am most addicted to the distraction of the ever scroll, it's usually on TikTok, and it's usually right before bed, where I'm like, I just don't want to go to bed. I don't want to have to go back into my life tomorrow. And so I just want to be addicted to the distractions. I want to keep on scrolling. And then that little thing pops up and I go, oh, what am I doing? This isn't who I want to be. I don't want to be addicted to the distraction. And I can type in the password and keep going, or I can use that as an indicator that it's time to stop. But the ever scroll is real, and it can be a tendency of feeling addicted to distraction. Second thing, gaming. Whether this is on your phone or on a console or one of the new streaming game services, if it's like, okay, I finished work and I'm gonna hop right on my game because I'm really excited about it. But are you doing it and playing it for 6 hours every night because you want to? Or you're addicted to the distraction that it provides? And that can also apply for phone games as well. And then lastly, over drinking. Now, I'm not saying like alcoholism, but if you are over drinking, maybe having a glass or 2 extra that you wouldn't normally have because things are just hard right now, that can be an indication of an addiction to the distraction that it can provide. So that's what an addiction to distraction can look like. Let's look at what it feels like. Essentially, all of these actions are something that, quote unquote, takes the edge off, right? I don't want to have to deal with this right now. I'm going to go over here so I can be distracted. So the question then becomes, how do you react when things are hard? Do you move into distraction? Do you move into understanding what's actually happening? Do you look at your life and go, okay, what do I like, what I don't like, and move forward? I bring all this up not to say there's a right or a wrong answer. I am not perfect. I just said I scroll on TikTok. I also am a person who turns to food when I want to be distracted. But here's where it comes into play, especially right now in the world, as there are so many things happening and going on. And that's pretty funny because that's happening now, but this will be an evergreen episode. And there's always going to be a lot of stuff happening in the world. So then the question becomes, when everything is going around you, like falling apart, going crazy, whatever that may be, are you addicted to numbing out and the distraction, and that's becoming the norm? Or are you using those distractions as small getaways and then coming back to the reality and facing it head on? Truly, consider that for yourself. Do you come back? Or do you move to the next addiction? I've just finished an episode, or I've just finished a series. Now what's the next one? Just finished this game. What's the next one? Or if it's something like ever scrolling or phone games, it never ends. So you just keep on going. And that next little challenge that you've got, oh yeah, I got this little badge to help you feel like it was worthwhile. And maybe it was. But I really want you to ask yourself, are you turning to these things and are you compounding them, right? Not only am I watching TV, but I'm going to the fridge every 5 minutes. And while I'm watching TV, I'm overeating, I'm also scrolling on my phone. That might be an indicator, right? Are you using these things as entertainment or as enablement? Ooh, just got chills on that one. I'm going to say it again. Are you using these items as entertainment or enablement? Are you addicted to the distraction they provide? And if that's the case, I would like us to consider the alternatives, because this can help us be happier. When we're addicted to distraction, we don't create, we don't contribute, and we numb out to the emotions that we're feeling because they're quote unquote negative or bad. When what it actually is an opportunity for us to identify our emotions, move through them, understand them, and come back on the other side and feel happier, progressive, and productive versus addicted and out of control. So a couple things you can do. One, you can identify your emotions. So when I go to the fridge and I open it up and I look inside and I'm like, what do I want to eat? And I'm not really hungry. That can be a trigger for me to go, wait, what emotions am I feeling? Well, right now I'm feeling bored. Okay, could I go do something else? Could I not be bored? Do I want to be bored? Maybe I want to be bored. Then you ask yourself, okay, if I want to be bored, I'm going to be bored, I'm going to eat for 10 minutes. And then I'm going to get back on track. Or I'm going to scroll for 10 minutes. I'm going to set an alarm. And when that alarm goes off, I'm going to honor it. I'm going to get back on track because I am not controlled by my addiction. I control my life. Next one, track your time and your habits and your feelings. So if you're like, maybe I'm addicted to something, maybe I'm addicted to that distraction, I don't quite know, then track your time. How much time are you spending scrolling on social media? How much time are you spending watching TV? How fast do you go through all the food in your fridge? How many snacks are you eating? How many games are you playing and completing? You can track your time, and in conjunction with that, track your feelings. At the end of every day, how did I feel collectively today? I felt productive. Great. How did I feel collectively today? Well, I did X, Y, and Z, and I just kind of felt numb. Okay. What did you not want to feel? What was it that made you want to feel numb? I'm actually really angry about something that happened at work. Or I'm actually really angry about what's happening in the world. Okay. And that will help you know how much time you're spending in an addiction to distraction and help you make the pivots that you need to make to move your life forward. And then the last thing is, when you have those triggers and you feel them coming, or you're like, oh, I just opened the fridge, I'm really bored, what do I want to do instead? Do something instead. Anything instead of those things that are your addiction to distraction mechanisms. That can be hopping on and doing a Facebook Live or an Instagram Live and just talking like, hey guys, so for 15 minutes, I need to do something that's not leaning into my distractions. So let's talk. Those of you that are on, feel free to ask me any questions. Let's do this. You're probably gonna have people be like, wait, what? What's addiction to distraction? And then you can be like, oh, well, it's this. I learned about it on this podcast. And I'm doing it this way. And you can teach other people and will also help solidify it for you. You can draw something, you can color a picture, you can read a book. There's so many other things you can do that I know have been on your list of stuff to do and you feel like you don't have time. But you probably do have the time. It's just an addiction to distraction holding you back. So here's the biggest takeaway. People feel unhappy because they are numb to their emotions. And they numb out their emotions by maintaining an addiction to distraction. And here's the real kicker here. When we numb ourselves out to what we define as negative emotions like anger, sadness, stress, anxiety, collectively, we also numb ourselves out to all the positive emotions. They're on the same spectrum. So you can't just erase one side and not expect the other side not to be numbed out too. Truly, think about it. If you're numbing out negative emotions, you are numbing out positive emotions as well. You're numbing out all emotional context and trying to distract yourself instead of identifying those emotions, figuring out alternatives, asking yourself why you're feeling these emotions, and working yourself through it. So really, I'm going to leave you with that today. A pretty deep question about your lifestyle. And there's no judgment here. If you have an addiction to distraction, or you just like being distracted and you don't want to call it a full-blown addiction, fair enough. You're in charge of your own life. But if you are listening or watching this podcast, you feel in your heart, you know there's something you want to change. So if this was an uncomfortable topic or uncomfortable conversation for you to be listening to or watching, same kind of thing. If it triggered you and you're like, hey, scrolling on to the next one, or I'm going to go get some food from the fridge, or I'll just watch some TV instead, ask yourself why you were triggered by it and what emotions you're trying to not feel. And I want to be very clear, there's no judgment here on my side. And I don't want you to shame yourself if you do find that you're in these situations. There is an addiction there. The point here is awareness. Awareness is the first step to change. And don't shame yourself. Instead, take the actions and make the changes. It's okay. We can all make one decision in a split instance, and it can change everything. So, I'm going to ask again. Are you addicted to distraction? And is that something you want to change? If so, hopefully I've given you some light touch tools that you can utilize to start to change things. And if you would like to go even deeper, of course, you can contact me and we can talk further. You can reach me at taylor@happinessabound.com. And I've had several of you actually reach out and ask for specific worksheets or ask questions, and I love that. It lets me know that I am helping and I can be providing more. So if you do have questions or concerns even, please reach out to me. I'm always happy to chat. And if you liked this episode or any other episodes of the show, please leave a review so other people can find it and we can all learn and grow as a Happiness Abound community together. So that said, I hope this has given you something to think about. Again, there's no judgment, no shame, just an opportunity for change. So have a wonderful day. Think about this in your life, but above everything else, remember that you are capable of happiness abound.